Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mega Maker Show. Tonight we're talking about the road to success. Last week we talked about dealing with success, so it's only fitting that tonight we talk about how to get there. And I have a couple of great guys joining me tonight. Brian Way, who's been on the show before, so some of you will recognize him, and a brand new face to the Mega Maker Show, Jack Perry. Jack Perry is the owner of
Miter Set.
I do that every time.
What's that?
That is the volume. There's a delay between this, what we're doing, and it hitting YouTube. And I would have the YouTube channel up so I can watch the chat section. I forget every time. So these guys are used to it. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so Jack owns Miter Set, and Jack's agreed to come on tonight and talk with us a little bit about how, the steps he took to get to where he's at, and Brian's going to do the same. And we've got some questions we're going to throw in there. And as always, if you guys have questions as we're going along, throw them out there. I will try and squeeze them in, and if I have to, even interrupt these guys while they're talking. So, Brian, why don't you start by introducing yourself for anybody who hasn't seen you before? Let's tell us who you are, what you do, and how we can find you on the big wide web.
All right. My name is Brian Way, and I'll start with how I can be found. I do have a small YouTube channel. It's Video BPW, mainly for some home projects and stuff, some product reviews, nothing major, but I do enjoy making videos on occasion. I have a website, bpway.com, kaizeninserts.com, taillock.com. And I currently own a commercial millwork installation company. That would be my day job. My night job is running my internet companies. And I guess I would say that my internet companies, bpway.com, which sells primarily woodworking tools and hardware for trades tools as well. That kind of started because of my love for tools and being in the industry and having warehouse space at the time. I was able to start an internet company, and that's a short story of that. And that led me into owning some trucks. I also have taillock.com. That's an invention that came from a need of security for securing my box trucks. And kaizeninserts.com is a product that I came up with, a product improvement that I came up with based on something that I used myself and thought it would be handy, and other people would like it. So that has actually become fairly successful in the last year. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's quite a nutshell. You're a busy boy. Jack, what about you, man? What are you about? Where can we find you on the big wide world?
Yeah, this is Jack Perry, and miterset.com. The name of my company is Mancuso Precision Products, and really that's a holding company for products like Miter Set. And Miter Set's a precision jig that turns a standard table saw miter gauge into a precision layout tool. So I'll get into how I started that company in a little while. But so miterset.com. And if you want to learn more about Miter Set, and we're also on YouTube with a channel that we just started, and it's the Miter Set channel on YouTube.
Right. And I know there's a bunch of guys that saw my video that have purchased them, so I know there's a few of them watching right now. I can see them by their name. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about using the Miter Set, that's a great place to go check that out at the YouTube channel. Is it Miter Set, YouTube/Miter Set? Is that how they find you?
Yeah, it's just Miter Set. The name of the channel is Miter Set. Yeah.
All right, great. All right, great. So last week we had a couple of great guys on. We had Joel Crawford on, who had just a whirlwind success with his Spartan cutting boards. He went from, like we said, it was like 0 to hero in a week to now he's the top selling cutting board manufacturer in the US. I mean, is that crazy? And then he's got other products out. So there's always a story of how people got there, and granted, it's different for everyone. There's no hard and fast, this is how it's going to work, guys. But if we get guys that have gotten to that point that we would all consider successful, or at least I would, it's always nice to kind of hear that story, and maybe there's some tips and tricks we can pick up along the way. So, Jack, you're really doing really great with the Miter Set. The Miter Set's a phenomenal product, and it's hitting hard. Now, you were successful prior to the Miter Set, and that's because, I have a question, first of all, and I'm going to shut up after this. every successful guy I know, and I know a lot of them. I'm very fortunate to be friends with guys who are just amazing thinkers and smart, real smart, intelligent guys. But I don't know a single one of them that's ever worked a 40-hour week. Do you guys work 40-hour weeks? What do your weeks look like?
Busy.
Yeah, busy. My commercial mill work, it starts at about 6 a.m. Most of these jobs start early, and I could almost say that I'll do a 45-hour week for my commercial mill work. And I probably, I don't know how much more I do. I probably do another 30 at minimum on the rest of my products and website. I take Sunday off. I don't do anything Sundays.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
So that's a 75-hour week, and I know Jack. I know his weeks are similar to that. This guy, he's like a beast. And the same thing here. So obviously, the route to success is busting your butt.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna get successful by standing around drinking coffee, scratching your belly, going, why can't I make any money? So it's all about being out there, putting yourself out there, and busting hump. But Jack, let's hear from you a little bit. Let's kind of hear your story about how you got started with what you do now. Like I said before, you could be as specific or as vague as you want. Doesn't matter. And then tell us a little bit about the miter set, because that's more particularly what we're interested in hearing about, as we're all woodworkers. So if you could tell us a little bit more, tell us if you invented it, and tell us that little story there, so we can all kind of get a gist of that.
Sure. Just like Brian, I've got a full-time gig, and I run a small software company, a cloud-based shipping software that supports UPS and FedEx and a few other carrier types. And, that's 40 to 45 hours a week supporting those customers. But I've always been interested in woodworking and metalworking, and specifically tools. I come up with projects simply so I have to buy the tool for it, And, unfortunately, I don't buy just small tools. I've got a 5,000-pound lathe sitting in my garage. So, I like the big stuff, and I like old tools as well. That lathe is near and dear to my heart. It was owned by the U.S. War Department during World War II, and it made gun barrels leading up to World War II, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
So I'm a tool junkie, and I started Miter Set just because of my love of tools, woodworking, metalworking. And I got lucky. Working hard is great, and but a little luck helps as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I'd, as they say, I'd rather be lucky than smart.
Right on. There's truth to that, and I think we probably have all had a little luck in our career. But you know what they say, luck favors the prepared, and those guys that are out there busting their humps are kind of ready for that kind of stuff. So, Brian, let's hear from you. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you first got started in the construction world, and how you kind of ended up where you are. And we've heard a little bit about why BP Way and why you're doing the inventions and stuff. But let's kind of 5 minute synopsis, kind of walk us through that for those who are new here and haven't heard it before.
All right. Yeah, I touched on it before. If we're going back to how I started, it was my father was a painting contractor, and I started my business early. I went to a trade school, and I kind of tailed off of him, and every house that he painted inside outside needed a repair, or they may have ended up needing a kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel. So that's how I started off. His customers became my customers, and that gave me probably 10 years of solid work from when I was in high school, say starting in around 17 till about 27. And at that point, I had, by the time I was 26 or 27, I had purchased my first shop, which was a 4,000 square foot business condo. And I started doing pretty much primarily all woodworking and custom cabinetry, got hooked up with some commercial guys, and made some really good contacts. And, when you're young, everything you think bigger is better. It's not. Not in every case anyway. and I went from a 4,000 square foot shop to a 10,000 square foot shop, or 10,000 plus, and doubling my employee count and adding on the road designers, salespeople, estimators, installers, and quickly realized within another 10 or 15 years into it, I decided to put an end to that 100-hour weeks of working my butt off and not making enough money for the amount of overhead that I had, and kind of went back to basics, took advantage of the downfall of the economy, and went out and started installing for the companies that laid off all their guys. All my connections, I used all my connections to start installing their product as well. I did start my internet company in 2006, or actually 2003. So that was well before the economy crashed. I did have that going already, running 2 businesses for a while. And that brings me to where I am for now. You know, I'm starting to develop products and fill in. I use the gap theory. I look at multiple products, see what's missing in between, find that missing link, and find that product in between those the gaps that people would like and people would use, and that's kind of how I base my products off of.
Vaughn Thompson Tinkerer, he's got his own YouTube channel. He's watching us right now. He has a question for you, Brian, about Kaizen foam. He wants to know if Kaizen foam is a fast cap related product, and you know, I know the answer to this, but I'll let you kind of talk about that. And why don't you tell us about your inserts as well while you're answering that question.
Sure. Kaizen foam is a fast cap product. So that's part of what I do is I'll take that product and turn it into something else. So KaizenInserts.com is where I take all the popular toolboxes out there, and we make inserts that fit the toolbox. I don't do many custom tool cutouts, but we make the inserts to fit the particular box, make it that much easier for the end user. Then all they need to do is cut out the tools. So we are turning one product into a very similar another product, but because it's lean manufacturing, Kaizen is stopping the struggle. I am stopping the struggle in that of cutting the boxes out for the customers. And that started off with me needing it for myself first, and other guys liking it, and I started selling it on eBay, found that there was a market for it, and it turned into another full-time job.
For those of you who don't know, and I'm not sure there's too many of you here that don't know what Kaizen foam is already, right behind Brian's shoulder there on the wall, you can see his tools nicely and neat, organized, kind of like what you'd see in a James Bond movie, all tucked away where everything's supposed to be. So, and I think, and I'm telling you, it's not because Kaizen foam helps you get organized. It's because everybody I know freaking wants to be James Bond. That's why that stuff is such a freaking, that's why that stuff is so successful.
Well, I'll tell you what, Izzy, I want to be organized, and being organized and having all the tools where they are and where I know they are. And when I know, you see that silhouette of the tool and the tool is missing, I spend a lot more money replacing missing tools now that I've implemented that into my everyday life.
A lot less money, he meant to say.
A lot less money, yeah.
Right,
a lot more money on other stuff, though.
There you go. There you go. Yep, and I'm just picking on him. I've got my Kaizen walls right there. So,
yeah, you do.
Right, I do. So, Stuart, have I got a new mic? No, actually, my headset went out, so I'm using the webcam mic. Forgive me, guys. I apologize. So, so let's talk about the miter set for a minute. And I don't want you guys, I don't want to feel like anybody to feel like I'm pimping this out, because I'm not, but this is a product that I love it. And I've talked to Jack a couple of times about this. I'm really excited about this. It just makes it so easy to set a miter up on your table, any table saw, miter gauge, and it's flawless as long as you have your table saw set up within reason. And so what brought you to the miter set, and why did you say aha? What was that? Did you have an aha moment where you're like, hey, this is it, this is a badass product, I got to run with it? What was that?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Oh yeah, it was. I had the V8 moment where you smack your head and say, "Why didn't I think of that?" And I didn't think of it. It was invented by a very clever guy named Dick out in California, and I found it purely by accident. Dick didn't have a lot of search engine optimization set up, and I really had to dig to find this thing. But the reason that I found it was because I was building drum sets, and I was using stave and segmented maple to build snare drums and that type of thing. And I just found it incredibly frustrating using a standard miter gauge to try to get an accurate angle for a stave or a segment. And so I was looking for a solution from a major pain point, and just wanting to solve this problem because just the sanding and the wasted time and the wasted material just wasn't worth it for me. I knew there had to be a better way out there, and I didn't think that necessarily buying a precision miter gauge was going to solve the problem for me because some of these angles have to go down to a thousandth of a degree, or well, a thousandth of a second, if you're talking in degrees. But so I did a web search. I found it. I saw it. I immediately recognized the value of it. And at the time, I was selling used Shopsmith parts on eBay, and I had the largest Shopsmith store on eBay at one point. And so I called Dick and I said, I'd really like to add.
Jack, were you? Sorry to interrupt, but did you still have a daytime job during this too?
Oh yeah.
So this was another second gig. It wasn't
right.
like, hey, this is okay. Just checking.
Right. Yeah. Right. It was. Yeah. So, just crazy. I do work Sundays, but just I can't sit still. So it might as well be working. So, so I called Dick and I said, "Geez, I'd really like to add this to my my eBay storefront. It just makes a lot of sense." And he said, "I'm shutting down the company. I'm sick." And I said, "Hold on there." And God love Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. He gave me the idea of licensing someone else's product. I would never have thought of that before I had seen Shark Tank on TV. And so I talked with Dick and his wife for 6 to 9 months before they were willing to license the product to me. But I knew within 30 seconds of the first conversation that I wanted to own that product. And it just, I had in the back of my head also that I was looking for a product that met a number of criteria. One that solved a problem, a pain point, and it did. And one that was simple, didn't have lots of moving parts, had a long shelf life, one that was small and could be easily shipped, light, and had mass appeal. And all those bells went off when I first saw Miter Set. And Dick was making it out of. He was going after almost the impulse buy market, because he was making it out of Baltic birch with a laminated top, like a countertop, and milling that, and it was pretty accurate. But I recognized that I wanted to make it a higher end product, and so I spent about 6 months working with different substrates like high density polyethylene and ultra high molecular weight plastics and Delrin and acetal, and ultimately kept coming back to aluminum just because it's a reliable, stable platform, and it made the most sense. So that was the beginning. First, license it, improve it, and make sure that the manufacturing process was predictable and reliable and sustainable. And if it took off, could be duplicated across many manufacturing partners if necessary. And so those were the first stages, and that was about a year ago.
Yeah, that's I think for our audience, we talk a lot about invention and about business and about how to get there, what kind of products to do. I think one thing, if anybody's really paying attention, I think one thing that should be taken away from this is Jack did not invent this product. This is a product that he found and said, hey, this is, he had his V8 moment and he's taken it to market, and there's no question in my mind that he's going to do really well with it because it is a crazy, awesome product. So, you don't necessarily have to have that ultra creative aptitude. Not that I'm pointing fingers or anything, Jack. I'm just saying that there are opportunities out there if you recognize something as a good business opportunity to grab a hold of it and just run with it, which is what Jack did. And here we are today. So that's a really, really cool product. Mine are sitting right here, so I'm looking at it going, ooh.
Yeah, it really is. It's a cool product. I'm not a math and science guy. I'm not an inventor, but I am a sales and marketing person, and I recognize the market for it. So, just because you're not inventing something, it doesn't mean that you can't bring something to market if it solves a problem and you're passionate about it.
Right on.
I have some empty spots behind me where I could put a nice new miter set. I haven't picked one up yet.
Okay.
There's some curiosity.
Brian's an affiliate, so I got to get some samples to Brian.
There is a couple questions. Jim Bashir's asked, how do you have them made, or where do you have them made? And you just work with the factory, right?
Yeah, I work with a local shop here in New Hampshire, and Hillsgrove Machine is the name of the company that does the CNC milling for us. And they've got big machines. They're Fidel 6030s, so the X travel is 60 inches and the Y travel is 30 inches. I mean, these are big machines. They're the size of a Dodge Caravan. So yeah, they make them there, and we make them 6 up at a time. So 6 vices going at once.
And to that end, I'll add that not only are the miter sets made here in the United States, but the boxes that they come in are made in the United States. And Jack, you cut your own foam. I mean, you're doing it all right here stateside. And in fact, Jack's the one that turned me on to the boxes for the DPT wrench. They're made in Ohio, I think. And
right.
So we're keeping it all here, man. And that just makes me so happy.
Yeah. We're making our own pins now too. We're making our own stainless steel pins. Right here. Yeah, so everything's made in the U.S.
Yep, that's very cool. Are the Kaizen foam toolboxes kits available online? Yes.
Yes, they are.
Came out of the blue there. But, I think, okay, in terms of please will you tell me about your, okay, this is another question. This is a fairly valid one from Shogun Jimmy. It seems like you guys really work a lot. Will you please tell me about your vacations, and are they epic?
No vacation.
What about you, Brian?
I'm not gonna. What was that?
What about you? I know you got.
I'm not going to deprive myself of a vacation. We take family vacations every year, at least one, and my wife and I might get away for an additional weekend. And are they epic? We try to make them as epic as possible. We love national parks, and like for instance, we were just in California. We saw we were at Yosemite Forest this past summer. Previous summer, we were at the Sequoias, the redwoods. I climbed Mount Washington a year and a half, or Mount Washington in Washington State. We climbed that with Paul Akers and his crew from Fast Cap. That was when you say epic, that was epic. That was one of the most amazing views I've ever seen in my life. It was majestic. It was totally amazing. So to add to the vacation problem, my millwork business continues on with the guys. The internet becomes a problem because that's kind of more family run. So I'll do a couple things. I'll either shut them down and put them in vacation mode so people can still purchase from them, and it states that the products won't ship until we return. And we'll also offer say we'll just say a 10% off coupon for the inconvenience of that and of having to make the customer wait. But that owning an internet company, that a retail company that never shuts off, is a problem when you go away. And I can fulfill some of the orders while we're gone, because some of them will drop ship from different locations, but for the most part, we're shutting it down while we're away, and that hurts.
Yeah, I can tell you, I took one vacation last year. It's the first one we had in 5 years, and it was epic by every stretch of the imagination. I went inside of just under 2 weeks. We drove 3,500 miles with 2 infants under the age of 3. You can't get much more epic than that. So, yeah, I'm good for another 5 years. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you know, so I think that the point is, you know, if you want to be, if the fastest way to get successful is work your ass off. You know, find the right ideas.
Absolutely.
Luck doesn't hurt. Luck doesn't hurt. We've all had our moments. I got my furniture company skyrocketed when I got recognized on eBay selling some crazy chairs by a gallery in New York, and it just from there went skyrocketed. So I was fortunate that way.
I think the most important thing is you can't fear failure, because you're going to fail over and over and over again, and you just got to wipe the tears away and get up, dust yourself off, and get back to work.
Oh yeah. I can't tell you how many times I've had to deal with that. I mean, we all have, you know. It's nothing new. So we're blazing through a lot of information here really quickly. So you know, Jack, you have some tools that I would die to get my hands on. You have some big boy toys. What do you do with those? What do you do with those when you're not building miter sets? You got somebody doing that for you.
Right.
You're not making drums with, you're not making drums with a giant metal lathe. What do you do with them? What do you do when you're, when you in your 5 hours of free time every week? So.
Right. Well, a lot of that 5 hours, I just tell my lathe how much I love it, and I make googly eyes at it. And now, prototyping. Today, this thing that's behind me right here is a wall accent that I made for my new office. And I use, I've got a Bridgeport, so I use the Bridgeport to do some drill some holes in some angle iron that's on this thing, but just making tool concepts and prototypes and things like that. I've got a Bridgeport. I've got that Hendy lathe. It's a gearhead lathe. I make sure that I have projects that require good tools, and I want to buy the tools.
All right. It's kind of hard to justify them just to sit there and rub them with diapers, I mean, unless you're Jared Hildebrandt, because that's all he does. So,
I want to be the Jay Leno of tools.
Right. You're gonna need a steam-powered CNC lathe if you want to do that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's not out of the question.
So, Jim Bashir is asking, where did you get? Do you still build drums from time to time, or is that something you kind of did in the past?
Nah, when I was a kid, I was a drummer, and I love it. And I just wanted to combine woodworking with music, and so I started making drums. I had the frustrating effort. I found miter set as a result of it, and I just haven't had time to get back to the drums because it's just been, crazy.
Oh, he was asking where you got your hardware from, because I think he wants to build one. I'm assuming that's what he's asking.
Yeah, I was making my own on the Bridgeport, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. So I was making segmented rims, so wood rims, and then making the hardware to hold the heads on the Bridgeport and the lathe. I was making some funky hardware. It was fun.
I bet.
Yeah.
Brian?
Yes.
Do you play any instruments?
I do not.
Oh.
I can enjoy the instruments, listening to them, but I do not play any.
Well, here's a theory I have, and you guys in the audience can chime in on this one. If you go into a room of makers, 2/3 of them are going to play the guitar or some instrument. Makers. That's what we do, and that rule seems to be very accurate almost every time. So, I'm happy to say that we didn't let anybody down. Today in our show, we have 2/3 of the audience play instruments.
Exactly.
So right on. We're doing good. We're doing good. So, Brian, let's talk about what you got coming down the pipe. I know you're working on some other stuff. Are you ready to share any information with us about that stuff?
I could share with one of the items I'm working on. It's
okay.
I believe it's another need in the industry. I see a lot of guys. I don't know what our audience does for work, but there's a lot of guys in the industry that I'll name a few brands are using Festool brand tools. They're using DeWalt T-Stack boxes, Tough System boxes, Fine boxes. Makita, all the different brand toolboxes. Is very difficult to stick to one brand of tool on the job. So what becomes a problem is integrating them together and making them portable and easy to move around job sites. So we're creating, I don't even have a name for it yet. It's kind of like an interchange plate between toolboxes that'll allow you to lock all the different brands of toolboxes together. It's something I need on the job site. It's something a lot of guys need on the job site, and we're real close to getting some of the units out to the beta testers right now. So that's the next thing I'm working on.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Trevor asks, how do you know when to stop tinkering with an idea and take it to production? I don't know if there's a definitive answer for that. What do you guys think? I'll let Brian. Why don't you take this one and see? Let's hear what you have to say. Maybe we can all share this question, because I think it's a question that deserves an answer. Maybe we'll give them 3 different answers. So how do you know when you got an idea? When is it time to stop just tinkering around with it and make the commitment and take it to production? And I have some interesting insight on this, and I think Brian might too. Jack, let's start with Jack. Let's throw it right at him.
Throw right at him.
Yeah. You can't be afraid to just take a product to market, because the user feedback is going to make that product better. So, as a product owner, you can't be afraid to stop tinkering and just take it to the market and get real user feedback. And, it's not going to be 100%, but that's okay, because you're going to learn quickly and you can adapt quickly. So, bring it to market. Don't be afraid to have numerous iterations that you and versions that you bring to the market rapidly if necessary, just based on immediate customer feedback. I mean, let's face it, when we're small like this, and oftentimes we're the decision maker and no one else is around to argue with us, we can do whatever we want to react and make those changes. And that has served me well.
Right on. Brian, what do you think, man? Where would you go with that question?
It's hard for me to, I'm trying to wrap my head around it now. Well, if I look at it from the point of view of the tail lock, the locking system for the box truck, my products pretty much design themselves around a problem or the need to have a solution for a problem. In saying that, it's fairly easy to get some instantaneous feedback from the people around you. Honest feedback. It's important to have friends that'll give you honest feedback and not just what they think you want to hear. I also think that it's not like it was 15 years ago. We have the power of social media at our fingertips. Whatever your choice is, whether YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, which is probably getting old now, Snapchat. And if we don't utilize that for research and development, then I think we're losing out on a free missed opportunity. And it's really easy to get quick feedback on product to see how much people like it. And it's really easy to find beta testers, find the top guys in the industry, on social media in that category that you're looking for that product. Give it to them. They'll give you their honest feedback if they're a professional. You don't even have to be friends with them. You know, they'd be more than happy to give you their feedback. So that's kind of how I start that process. And if I get positive feedback and I think it's a worthwhile product, not all of my ideas I would bring to market after doing some of that research, but that's kind of how I go about it.
Well, you pretty much answered the question I answered it the way I was going to talk. I was going to say about beta testing, and for those of you who don't know what beta testing is, I'm explaining it because I know some of you do, but the first time I heard the term, I didn't understand it. And beta testers just mean having a team of people or experts in an area of whatever the invention happens to be. So if it's in woodworking, you would go to a bunch of woodworkers who have some experience and say, hey, what do you think of this product? And I'll let a little secret out that not too many people know. Brian and I are both beta testers for, well, I don't know, Brian does for one, I do for a couple of companies. So they'll send us product or ideas and say, take a look at this, what do you think? And we've been doing this long enough that we'll know pretty quickly whether it's going to have value. And we obviously can't cover all of the trades or the needs of particular people. And I wouldn't know what to do for Brian because he does custom millwork. I build furniture, so I mean, there's a gap there where something might be valuable for him that wouldn't be for me. So having beta testers or having guys that are experts, YouTube is great for that, for finding guys and make sure the guys know what the hell they're talking about and doing before you ask them. But that would be a great and way to reach out to people, network, kind of get some ideas. If I've got this idea, hey, I think it's cool, but I'm not 100%. So what do you think? Here's the product. What do you think of it? And get feedback. That's a remarkable resource that not a lot of us use. So good question. So, Temple Boy, how do I reverse a motor? Well, that's not exactly what we're talking about, but you can get a reverse switch or rewire the motor. Depending on what type of motor it is. Are you getting sound lag, DIY? Audio's garbled. Yeah, okay. Guys, let me know if there's a sound lag or if you're getting bad audio. I'll mess with the settings. I want to see if I can fix it.
Yeah, the audio's garbled.
Yeah, you're garbled, Izzy.
That figures. Okay. This is we may end up. We'll see how it goes here. Let me see if I can fix it real quick. Before I do that, let's get into some more questions. Jack, where do you see yourself going? Do you see yourself more inventions, more what you're doing during the daytime and expanding that? What do you see yourself doing, say, in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think my approach to the market has been to balance direct sales to consumers with the development of a dealer distributor network, both inside the U.S. and now outside the U.S. And because I'm small, I made the determination for me personally that I wanted to find exclusive relationships with companies that could both retail and wholesale on continent. So, for example, I'm looking for a partner in Australia. And, it'd be great if that partner could retail, but also wholesale to other retailers on the Australian continent. But I only want to deal with one primary contact so that I can manage what I'm doing. So I want to keep selling direct to consumer because I value that immediate feedback. And I talk with customers every day, and the feedback that I'm getting is invaluable. But I recognize that I can only get so much of the marketplace, and I have to balance that with the dealers and distributors who have spent many years finding customers in niche markets. So that approach, it lends itself to adding new products down the road and selling them to existing customers direct, and also selling them through the dealer distributor channel that I'm developing. So that's the reason for the holding company, Mancuso Precision Products. we will have more products coming down the road. I do have some I tell Lizzie all the time, I'm not a super creative guy. In fact, my father calls me China because I can copy anything, but I can't come up with original concepts myself. But we will have products, and and we're looking to license other products as well. So,
right on, pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if you have a really good idea, Jack might be interested. Just saying that out loud.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Is my audio fixed at all, or is it still garbled?
No,
Still garbled.
it's not fixed.
All right.
Yeah.
Guys, all right. Well, we're at 45 minutes, so I think maybe we will call that, because I don't want to suffer. Nothing worse than bad garble. Unplug your mic. I can't, Daniel. It is the one that's attached to my computer forever. So.
Hey, I got a question for Brian, if that's all right.
Yeah, please shoot.
Yeah, Brian, you said early on in the show that you had grown your company too big, and you pulled it back a little bit. So have you determined that the sweet spot for you? Izzy makes fun of me when I say this term, but my vision is a boutique manufacturer of high-end products. I don't want to be a big corporation. I don't want to be have hundreds of employees. I think there's real value in building a small, highly profitable, highly targeted company, and I'm just interested in what your thoughts are on that. Did you come to the same conclusion?
Yes, and our reasons that's on the similar thought process as myself. I am very happy with making a living or a good living in my own house and in my barn behind my house.
Yeah.
And if I could add another product and do slightly better and just have maybe even two people, I could probably have 3 people back here. And when I say back here, I mean it's an outbuilding behind my house. And that's it. I don't want to go down the big manufacturing road again. I mean, we used to manufacture a lot of cabinetry, and I'm just not interested in it again. I kind of consider myself, I'm not off the grid, but if all the work dropped off the face of the planet right now, I'll be okay. I'm not, I'm not going to owe a landlord something. I'm not going to owe the leasing company. I'm not going to owe everybody under the sun. So there's definitely some value to staying small.
And there you go, Andy Berkey. They answered your question without me even having to ask it. ESPN going on there. Andy just asked, or just before you guys started this conversation, how do you guys want to manage your growth? Do you want to stay small or expand and be large? Prior to that, I'm kind of with you guys. I don't think I would consider going back to furniture, just because furniture right now I could make 6 times a month what I make now doing YouTube and my other side business, building furniture again. And so it's really hard to just say, hey, do I just keep building what I'm doing now, keep growing this, or do I just stop, open up the furniture factory again, and then I don't know, is there going to be another market crash in 15 years that shuts me down again? It's a tough one.
It is tough.
Yeah. Prior to that, JP all the way from the UK asks if you had 5 ideas. Let's say you had 5 ideas. I don't think this has ever happened to me. I'm not sure if you guys have ever had happen to you. If 5 ideas all at one time that are all equally valued, how do you pick one to take to market? So apparently, Jamie, you've got a lot of really good ideas. So I've never had that problem. I've had a few that I balanced around a little bit in order to which order to bring them out. But Brian,
I have multiple ideas always floating around in my head. And the one that I'm going to work on is the one I'm most excited about at that time, and the one I think might be most relevant to the industry that might make me the most money. So those are that's how I would check them off the list, is most relevant, most money, and most exciting. So if it's not going to make you any money, throw it in the back. Just use it as a hobby, because don't even waste your time.
I'll tell you right now, my new strategy is to bring out the one that's going to perform the worst first, and then do the successful ones.
Yeah.
So,
learn all the lessons right up front.
right on.
Yeah. Take your wax. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a little bit, but I'm getting some feedback saying the mic's sounding okay now. I changed a couple settings.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helped a little bit. All right. So we've only got a few minutes left, guys. So let's hear from you guys in the audience. Don't be bashful. You know, we can answer questions off topic too if you guys have something that's burning you up and you want to ask. While we're doing that, Jack, I might have an idea for you if you're interested.
Okay. I am interested.
And I don't want to mess with this. I'm at a point now where I'm kind of like, which direction do I go? So, and you know, I think probably one thing that we'll touch on, I think would be a real good thing. And I know you guys do. I don't even have to, we haven't talked about this before, but I know you guys have it, because this is the one thing I see with most people who do well, and that's they have a network. They have a network when it comes to their field. They have a network to succeed. They have a network of people they can reach out to when they need something done. How long, what kind of effort did you guys put into setting up your network of people? And it could be anybody. I mean, just recently I put together, I shouldn't say I did, Greg over at Greg's Garage, his YouTube channel, networked a whole bunch of people to make the DPT wrench happen. And, you know, and I knew Greg knew this guy. It's always good to have a network, and it doesn't have to be a bunch of rich guys or really smart engineers. Just knowing a group of people that do certain things, you can usually find somebody you need to find inside of that network. So I know I put a lot of effort into networking and keeping that. What do you guys think? How do you guys set up your network? Is that real important to what you guys do? Jack, why don't you take that one first? Oh, sorry, Brian.
I was going to say, for me, it's real important for me to surround myself with as many people that know more than I do. It's so important to, you know, to better yourself. So you don't want to be hanging out with people that know less than you and be the smartest person in the room all the time. So wherever I go, I am going after the person that not is necessarily the most popular, but maybe the most well-versed in their industry. I just came back from the STAFTA show, the new tool and hardware release show for retailers. That was just in Atlanta. And I kind of use that philosophy, go where the big boys are, learn as much as you can, get connected with all those guys, because it's only going to help your career.
Mm-hmm. Jack, what about you?
Yeah. You know, my philosophy is a little different. I'm kind of a blockhead about stuff. I'll give you a perfect example. When I started Miterset, I really wanted to understand everything about the process. When I finally had decided that aluminum was going to be the material, I bought a CNC. And I had never used a CNC before in my life, and brought the CNC in and spent a very frustrating month learning how to run a CNC, and got the CNC up and running and immediately outgrew it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, just...
Was it a Tormac?
No. It was, you know, it was a production CNC. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so don't, you know, I value that. I valued the experience, and now, you know, in the manufacturing process, I know if someone's pulling my leg, but you know, don't necessarily do what I do. You know, I've you know, Izzy, you know about you know, the trials and tribulations of going to market. You know, I was really honest with you about, you know, I had been doing it for about 6 months and made a silly manufacturing mistake, and it cost me $9,000 when I was just starting up. And wow. So the devil's in the details. And you know, when you're manufacturing a precision instrument, a precision tool, you've got to be really focused on the product itself or you're going to get in big trouble, you know. And I did. And it was just another time I had to get up and dust myself off. And I have a friend who says it's cheaper than college. And you never forget the lesson.
Well, to be honest, I dumped a lot of money into the DPT wrench and getting that out. And I knew I was bringing that to a woodworking audience, and it doesn't belong in front of a woodworking audience. It's more of an industrial trades type of tool. And the price tag is there because it's a high quality tool, and it's made right here in the States from A to Z. And but I have a woodworking audience, so that's who I showed it to. And I am spectacularly falling on my face with the sales side of it and all of that. And it really wasn't unexpected. And I mean, I'm going to be totally honest about everything I do with my fans, with my followers, and everything that's going on behind the scenes, because they learn from that, and they see, for what it's worth, they'll learn a little something from it. So the DPT wrench, the ones I've sold are going to get delivered. I've bought a few extras. I'm going to start sending those out to companies, and I'm going to put it in front of the right people instead of the woodworking audience. We're live, honey. Go back in the house. Oh, my daughter just came out to grab the water, apparently. Apologize. But I think networking is a really important aspect of, and it can be for makers too. Just if you're a guy who works in a garage, maybe you don't have a lathe, reach out to people in your area. Somebody around does. If you run into a point where you need a lathe, make a phone call. We're a pretty generous crew, that makers are, for the most part. Just don't ask to borrow our tools. So, and you'll be safe. DIY, I want to answer your question real quick. The reason I don't do this show on the main channel is because I'm not here to get a bunch of views. We're not here to, we're not here to get tons and tons of views. We're here for a core audience who wants to learn. I'll continue to grow this channel by sharing it outside of this show itself. But I'm not interested in growing and having that big mega audience to start with, because it's not really for them. It's for guys who really want to learn and who want to be part of a community and who maybe have an idea or want to learn a little bit about what happens on the other side of the industry. So it's not really, it's not a making it podcast. We're not just talking about woodworking. We're bringing professional people with professional experience, years and years of experience on the show, to share them with guys who really want to learn about it and possibly take that to the next step. So it's not for and I have a core audience, just like everybody else knows. YouTubers have a core audience, and then we have another audience that's not core. They come and go, and what we're doing here is not for them. It's for you guys. It's for the ones that are here. It's for the guys that want to learn. It's for the guys who want to be maybe taking that next step, or just want to learn about what happens in the industry and learn a little bit more about what we're doing. So that's why here instead of there. Long answer for a short question.
Hey, Izzy, JP in the UK asked, if you've got 5 products, they're equally good and they've got equal market opportunity, which one do you pick? And my opinion is you pick the one that you love the most, because you're going to be spending hour after hour after hour on that product, and you got to love it. So if there's a product that you love more than the other 4, even if it's only an incremental bit, that's the one that you focus on, in my opinion. That's what I would do. Yeah. Yep.
Agreed. That's the best advice. Okay. Now, Jamie, if you have 5 ideas that are market worthy, call me after the show. Let's chit chat.
Yeah, me too.
Right. I would kill to have. Well, I think I have a couple ideas that are possibly market worthy that we're working on now. And Tom from Tom's Tool Room is here. You guys know him. He's actually the gentleman making the wrench for me. So, hey, Tom, how you doing, bud? We are at 9:55, so I think it's time to wrap it up. Is there anything you guys would like to add to this conversation? Any little bit of wisdom you want to throw out there? Any bad jokes you want to tell? Just anything before we call it a night. Either of you.
I have a bad joke.
Okay, let's hear it.
How does a woodworker end up with $1 million? You start off with 2.
He starts off with 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people, I says, if you want to be a really successful woodworker, marry a woman you don't like very much, because then you'll just work 100 hours a week and you won't go home. You'll be good. That's how to do it. So. All right, DIY says a SEAL walks into a club. Drum roll. Okay, what do you need the punchline? Still waiting on the punchline, DIY. So, well, I guess that's it. That's the whole joke. The joke is I got him to say it. I didn't answer him. Andy Berkey says, "Don't quit your day job, Brian." So, all right, guys. Hey, Jack, Brian, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Jack, it was a real pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you, Izzy.
To the audience, you guys don't get to see a lot of what happens behind the scenes, but Jack and I have kind of developed a relationship, a business relationship. Jack is a great guy.
Thanks for clarifying.
Right. Right. Lots and lots of solid advice. In fact, Jack's quickly becoming one of those guys I call when I have doubts. I say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And those kind of guys are nice to have. So real solid guy, Jack. So thank you so much. And of course, Brian, we've been doing business for a couple of years now, and we've been back and forth on a lot of fun little projects in the background of things. So it's been always nice to have you here. So thanks for coming on, guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Izzy.
All right, y'all. We need to come up with a great sign-off. So you guys in the audience next week, I'm going to ask you for sign-off ideas, like just a little saying I should say at the end of the show. That should make the comment section fun next week. So, guys, good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
Good night.